All right. Hello, you guys. Welcome to the comic book read. I'm your host, Kara Zor-El, also known as Supergirl around these parts. We are going to do a really special read today. We're going to actually go back to the very first read I did as part of my whole thing of cosplay and comic books, this idea of being in cosplay and then reading comic books live. So, the very first read I actually did was this series, which is Killers of Krypton. So, hello, Bad Me, Dort, Revel. Oh my gosh, I can't see the names very well with the way I have the light, so I apologize. Welcome, you guys, to the live. This is the late Tuesday and Thursday comic book read. Gwen Stacy, hi. Hey, girl, how's it going? So this is going to be a blast from the past, kind of like as we're going into way back Wednesday, right? Tuesday, Truth Tuesday into way back Wednesday. Everyone's sleeping, going to bed early tonight, right? And hopefully this will help you guys sleep as well, or empower your dreamland imagination station. So, I'm not going to read actually this one. I'm actually going to be reading the follow-up to this one, which is It No Longer Has a Cover. It Has Gone Somewhere, because I've read it that much. So that's a kind of funny thing when it comes to comic books, right? Like, you can have collector's editions of things, or even like toys or collectibles, and like, well, do I get to play with the toy, or do I get to read the comic book if I need it to stay in like pristine condition? There you go. So I guess it's probably like why you need like two copies, right? One for like display purposes and one for your own reading pleasure. So welcome, you guys. If you are new here, how many Superman comic books do I have? I actually don't own very many Superman comic books. I'm partial to the heroines. I have a lot of Supergirl comic books, Batman comic books, as well as I have a lot of like the big crossover stuff. So all the Crisis Cs, so Crisis on Infinite Earths, Identity Crisis, Final Crisis, Multiversity, Life Without a World Without a Justice League. A lot of those stories that have more of the collaborative effort. But as far as it comes to like title card reads, I have a lot of the girls that I cosplay as. I have comic books like Zatanna. I have a title card of her as well. But I do have a Zatanna read doing Constantine coming up, so stay tuned for that. Probably going to do that on Thursday. And I'm also organizing everything in the Cosmic Comic Book Club, which actually this is a good segue into me talking to you guys a little bit about. Yes, I do have maybe a version of Catwoman on deck. I want to do the purple version, all about the purple. Okay, so welcome, you guys. This is the live read that I usually do on TikTok late at night with to read comic books. Hi, Tojo. Welcome, you guys. And full disclosure, big reason why I love storytelling, comic books, costumed play, imagination therapy, whatever you want to call it, is mainly just because it's a way for your get nourishment for your emotional, for your soul, for your emotional self, your soul body, your spiritual self, right? We do so much in the world today when it comes to like, okay, I need to like meditate, or I need to like practice mindfulness, or I go to the gym, or I hope there is more awareness on, self I don't want to say self-care. I don't really like that terminology per se, but more about, it's called soul nourishment. I do have superhero school, which is happening on Sundays, every Sunday, which is an offshoot of this, which is the Cosmic Comic Book Club. So if you think about book clubs, right, or monthly book clubs, you typically pick a book, you all read the book, and then you have a discussion about that book together, right? It's been so fun reading comic books with you guys. Some of you guys who have never been exposed to comic books at all and only know the characters through things like movies and animation and stuff like that, to be exposed to the original OG source and stuff is kind of fun. And it's all to say, too, as well, that you are the magic that brings stories to life, right? So even me, as I'm reading you guys these stories, it's a different experience if you were to take the same comic book and read it, to yourself in your head with the voices in your head and all that kind of stuff, right? I am only giving you a perspective, which is why, like, when you have like the new Supergirl movie, which is coming out, that is going to be James Gunn's perspective on Supergirl. And that's a great segue into this read. So 2 or 3 years ago, I actually started doing this. It was really, really rough when I started doing this on TikTok, you guys. Like, reading out loud. Try practicing this at home. Like, try reading out loud your comic books. It's really a medium. I will say that it's picture book, right? It's like adults picture book. Not even just adult. It can be all ages depending on the material that we're dealing with, but. To read it out loud is like this, an alchemy happens, right? From, the time that the pen came to paper and brought these illustrations to life, and the writers gave these characters words to speak, and then us then conversing about it. Through all of that, you're going to have a kaleidoscope of meanings, right? And I would like to believe that no meaning is wrong, right? Especially from your own personal perspective. And I do think that, like, no one really has a right to tell you what's what. You allow that into your world, right? So I want to thank you guys for allowing me and this version of Kara Zor-El into your world. And we're going to go back to the very first comic book read that I ever read, you guys, for cosplay and comic books as I lived. I didn't do it live, though. I did it as a recording. And I'm my DC or I can't choose between those two. I love characters in both of those universes, right? Oh, thank you. Oh, Penguin, I'm not going to do no battles tonight. I actually also joined a little group of like DC cosplay people, so hopefully we can do some stuff to bring to live. Casey Jones, great name from April O'Neil is one, and Casey Jones. Love them together. And happy birthday to your granny, Tom and Jerry, Wed Stacy. Colin, hello. I just want to make sure I'm saying hello to everybody in the chat. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going? Okay. Tojo, Catwoman. Tojo, do you like Catwoman? Do you guys are you guys a big fan of Catwoman? Do people like Catwoman? I like Catwoman. I struggle with certain characters, like the femme fatale, like, to carry them, because I am kind of like a goody two shoes in regular life. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I have like a saucy side, but I will say that, like, I have a lot. Like, if we were like dancers and we're like in a review of a troupe of us, I like being like, baby spice, kind of cute spice, But you know what? We all are who we are. We all have different facets of ourselves. And I love cosplay, and I welcome you guys in your own lives when it comes to reading comic books, or maybe not just comic books, any stories that you adore. And, pay attention to the characters you relate to. Pay attention to the characters that annoy you. Pay attention to the characters that you like fall in love with, right? And see where those characters actually mirror people in your own life, right? Because when we think about character, we're all playing characters for each other in our lives, right? Whether it's a big sister or a wife or a best friend, you are playing very big, important roles for everybody's comic book of life. So, without further ado, I'm going to go back to this very first read that I did as Kara Zor-El. I really relate to Kara a lot in terms of being Kryptonian, feeling like I don't necessarily fit in, feeling alienated from the general world, but yet still finding inspiration in family like Superman, as well as in who you really are inside, right? And acting in accordance and with integrity to that, right? So I'm going back to the first read. I haven't actually done this live before. I've only done this as a recording. And the reason why I did this first read is because crypto is in it. Now, what a funny thing I find with reality, because I actually did this read. I'm going to repost when I do the repost to the reread, the replay of the repost of this. I'm going to actually also repost my original read, which was about 2.5 years ago, where I did like a fun little transformation sequence with my own little crypto, who now has his own little bent ear, just like Mr. Crypto. But fun thing to note is that in the new Supergirl movie, it is insinuated that Crypto is Supergirl's. And while Wolfie is my baby, my fur baby, Crypto in the grand scheme of the DC universe, generally speaking, is Superman's. He is actually Jor-El's rescue dog, which I think the way they explain it is that during like Kal-El's name day ceremony, or his like baptism, or whatever you want to call it, some evil guy comes in and tries to like assassinate him, and Crypto saves him by pushing them all into the Phantom Zone. Phantom Zone's like this timeless space, and so he ends up popping out with Superboy and that whole timeline. That whole timeline with the Legion of superheroes and how that all works, we will do some Cosmic Comic Book Club analysis on that in a future date, because Saturn Girl, Lightning Lad, that whole crew, as well as how that all like weaves into the like ancient future past, what you want to call it, is kind of cool. It's cool too because Legion of Superheroes is actually inspiration behind X-Men, right? The idea of you have a team of people who have multiple powers, or like very specific powers like telepathy, laser eyes, heat vision, what do you want to call it, flight, super breath, and it gets broken up, right, based on your genetic codes, versus certain superheroes like Superman or Supergirl, where you have a suite of powers, right? And it's not really like, I find that like the powers, like even Wonder Woman, how they are, oh no, I guess that wouldn't make sense. All right, let me just get into the read, you guys. I'm going to post the original read of this. And it's funny too because you guys were so kind to me when I first started reading. I kept on referring to the Green Lantern Corps as the Green Lantern Corpse. And I was like, oops. Cyclops doesn't have laser eyes. No? Jean Grey actually is one of my favorite Marvel cosplays. And Jean Grey has a lot in common with Saturn Girl, the telepathy thing. And I do think, Normus Nexus, thank you for that. I am working on having my content just be a little bit more organized, so you can get even past reads like this one I have read. Like, and I've been doing this thing where like, oh, I already read that comic book, but I don't have a replay of it anywhere, so then I won't reread it. So I was like, you know what? Something was telling me like, Rachel, just go back. Kara, go back to the first comic book that started it all. And this one is a personal favorite of mine, which is why it has no cover anymore. And I do need to find the conclusion or what happens after this, because you'll see what happens at the end of this. It goes on a cliffhanger. So I do need to visit my local comic book store and find out the conclusion of this. His power comes from a punch dimension. Cuddle Bear. Oh, neat. I have a great take on cost. Thank you for that. John Moore, before we begin, am I Filipino? My mom is. My dad's South African. So I'm like a very interesting mixed race. Like me and my sister, we used to call ourselves pandas because we're black, white, and Asian. And we grew up out in the prairies, right? I did an interview with someone who was actually growing up in Kansas, and I was saying how like there's something to be said about growing up in the great wide expanse of like the horizon. Like, I grew up in like Winnipeg, Manitoba. Like, so if you grow up in like the Midwest or out there, I feel like there's something to be said about, I don't know, that being witness to the star in the sky, all that. Yeah, I'm from Winnipeg. I moved out to Toronto, where I'm here right now, about almost 20 years ago now. Oh, yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Cuddle Bear, thanks for the friendship necklace. Panda Panda, okay. And Cyclops is a member of the subspecies of humans known as mutants, known as superhuman. Oh, okay, okay. All right, X-Men and all of that stuff, that's for a separate conversation. But that, please do sign up for the Cosmic Comic Book Club. Depending on what you're resonating with, you may find certain content more interesting than others, right? Like me personally, from a personal level, I love the lore. Like I'm like that type of person who like, okay, I'll find this like story that seems somewhat frivolous and like surface level, but then I'm like, but who are the gods behind that? And who are the parents behind this? And why are these families mortal enemies, right? Like what happened, right? So because of the way time works, but that's not today's conversation. Time travel is a separate show. So let's keep going. Let's begin, actually. So back to the beginning, the very first read. Also with my live read, I had my friend, what is this? He is my friend, my Wolfie, my companion, my own crypto sitting next to me. Do I have a fave superhero? I have too many to name. I have too many favorites. Moon and Gemini, lots of faves. But I do have like top three. I would say Supergirl. Yeah. April O'Neil. I don't know if you consider her a superhero, but she's a big reason why I even moved out here. And I find April O'Neil and Lois Lane very similar, right? The investigative reporter. I'm here for the truth, the true story, right? And who's my last one? Oh, I really like Batgirl a lot. And Jean Grey. Oh my gosh, see, I'm going off on how many are my favorites, right? Okay. Zoto X. So I was just going back into my own, blast from the past for myself when I first started reading you guys reading you guys cosplay, reading you guys comic books in cosplay. And I started doing that 2 years ago. And if you look back at some of those old videos, they're a little like rough. And a lot of them weren't necessarily done live, right? So live action, doing the reads live versus doing pre-recorded, it's definitely a different vibe. I mean, like, we do go off on tangents together, you guys. Like, 20 minutes off about, like, the lore of Krypton, or, like, how, like, Brainiac did this, or, like, the background behind, like, Psylocke and Rachel Summers and Nate Summers and clones. So there's so many tangents we can go on, and I do love the beauty of live action, or or like live, right? What we're doing right now, because what comes through is like the freestyle, right? It's like that magic thing that'll never happen again. It's like you guys get to be part of the show too, and that is a truth when it comes to reading comic books as well. The comic book goes unactivated until you read it. The story goes unactivated until you read it. The movie goes unactivated until you watch it and you create meaning behind it and you set that out into this world. So being the observer, right? That is the audience. Even when I used to do live theater, you're part of the show too, right? Like it's a two-way connection, electricity kind of thing, right? We talk about real Ghostbusters. Oh my gosh. I feel like Father's D would love talking about that stuff. He does love Ghostbusters stuff. And I do have a Princess Leia comic book, Star Wars. And technically speaking, I guess that's Marvel. Dun 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 dun. Hope these guys don't get mad at me mixing and matching their universes. But I love them both, right? I can't choose. It's like choosing between my children. Who my favorite? Bella. Oh, you miss your dad. Oh, Bella. I will tell you this though about those of us who are missing those who are in other realms. Stories like this, I've read very many stories where you have certain characters who pass too, right? In real life and in imagination realms, right? And it's always hard saying goodbye. They're off to the next adventure, and they would hope that you are living your life to the fullest, right? So that when you meet again, you have a lot of great stories to tell them, right? So, like, what did you do since I left right there on Earth? And then you have all these wonderful things to say, too. So, yeah. So, okay, guys, let's begin. Go back to the first read that I ever did with you guys in cosplay as Supergirl ever. Killers of Krypton. Here we go. So Supergirl's out in space. I have actually also read this that follows this read. So post this just to get you guys up. How's my cat? Well, I won't get into that right now. So Killers of Krypton. At the end of this, Supergirl. Oh wait, hold on. I've been meaning to stage this with my hubby as Hal Jordan for the longest time too. So in this, we find that here it is. So Hal Jordan's here like doing some stuff, and Supergirl's like, "Hey Hal, I need some help. I need you to scan this big axe I have because I need to find out who really killed Krypton." Because from all the stories I've read, you guys, the whole idea behind the generally accepted story is that Krypton, it's like natural causes, right? The core is unstable, lots of natural disasters, and the world like ends. And this paints a little bit of a different story, that there's like nefarious, a cosmic conspiracy, let's say, afoot, and someone high up in the galactic whatever wanted to actually exterminate Krypton, like get rid of it for whatever reason. Probably because Superman's from there. Who knows, right? Oh, and Bry Guy, thank you. So because of this, Supergirl goes to Hal, who's a Green Lantern, to scan the axe. The Green Lanterns have access to this big library of galactic files to scan the axe. And so he scans it and then is like, oh, there's redacted files. And he's like, this has never happened to me before, because he's Hal Jordan, right? It's just like, I'm me. How come? What the heck? And she's like, all right, Hal, I know what I have to do. I'm going to go to Mogo. And Mogo is the home sentient planet of the Green Lanterns, to go to the library in person to find the information that she needs about who truly killed Krypton. And so Superman, as you guys may or may not know, even though technically speaking Superman is older than Supergirl, Supergirl, when she gets sent to Earth, gets put into stasis for like 30 years. So by the time she crashes like in Gotham Harbor and like figures out what's going on, she's still 16 years old, but her little baby cousin is now all grown up and is Superman, right? So that being said, Kara is the only family that Kal has on Earth, like anywhere. So he's very protective of her. And she is like, a teenager, and just like, listen, I don't need you like breathing over my neck and like telling me what to do. Like, I need to like find myself, be who I am. Oh, yeah, the Mogo files. So it sounds so funny when you say it like that. So he basically sends Crypto with Kara to go on this journey to Mogo to make him feel better about having some protection, and without it seeming like he's being like too overprotective, like too big brother, like let me do my thing, like just the older father figure stuff, just like I'm just protective of you, right? So because you're my family, you're basically me in female form, I just need you to be like okay out there, right? So yeah. All right. So let's begin the story now that you have the context into the story. And thank you for those gifts, Richie. So we're now out in space. We're heading towards Mogo to find the Mogo files. Supergirl and Crypto are in their spaceship. She actually has this like really cool special kind of Supergirl soup. Supergirl soup. What would be in Supergirl soup? Supergirl suit which holds on to extra solar power because her power comes from yellow suns, right? So she might end up in a solar system, doesn't have a yellow sun. What is she going to do, right? Just like in the movie where she gets wasted on planets with red suns, which, like, Krypton is that. Krypton has a red sun. Okay, let's begin. My ship's hollow files off Mogo look like a bookmobile compared to the archive they have there. Oh, wait, I should start from the very, very beginning here. Just because it has no cover doesn't mean it doesn't have a first page, right? Okay, the Green Lantern Corps, the peacekeepers of the universe. In addition to fighting interstellar threats like Scions, Dominators, or Wardian extremists, they have something I need. Information on who destroyed Krypton. Now we know where we're going with this. My ship's hollow files look like a bookmobile compared to the archive that they have there. Because remember, they're going to Mogo to find those files, those redacted files. Including those redacted files Hal found when he scanned Rogal Zar's axe for me. I'm afraid of the answers that I'll find. If Krypton was actually murdered and not a natural disaster, I mean, is there even a way to understand such unbridled hatred? To hate an entire species so much that someone would eradicate it from existence. How does a Rogal Zar happen? And you can see she's pondering this in space, thinking, Krypto's in the back, snoozing, and looking out into space towards Mogo, she continues thinking, hopefully, the Lanterns will readily share access to the files they'll try to share access, Kara, but there are things that even the Green Lanterns don't know about the Guardians, who are their bosses, right? Corruption in the ranks. We'll see how the Lanterns show deals with all of that. I'm interested. Will they make them blue? I wonder. Okay, hopefully the Lanterns will readily share access to the files I need to find the truth of whether Rogal Zar is just a pawn in a greater intergalactic conspiracy. And then her ship says over the intercom, arrival at Mogo, approximately 15 minutes. That's really fast. I feel like you just left 2 seconds ago, right? Or 2 years, because it's been 2 years since I've come back to this story. Yeah, right. Because that's how it always happens. So she's saying to herself, like, I hope that the Green Lanterns just, give up whatever information that they have. But then she's like thinking to herself in her head, like, yeah, right. That's never the way it goes. And Adrian, thank you for the heart me and welcome to the club. Okay, so there's Mogo. Mogo is sentient. I feel like Hal Jordan has a really fun relationship with Mogo. And I feel like Mogo's masculine. So that's what I think. I love mental constructs as a power. Oh yes, Nugget, you must have a very strong imagination, right? Because the lanterns, that ring too as well, right? It chooses its wielder as well. So it's this concept of like, you are the power of, like, you will be the limiter of what that ring can do. Only your imagination limits it. So yeah, cool. Mogo isn't used much. No, is Mogo just where they have like the library? I feel like there's another planet, right? I was reading another Green Lantern comic book where they mentioned another planet. And Mogo gets kind of like attacked in one of them, goes through a whole thing. Mogo has his own Green Lantern ring too, Okay, so we're on Mogo, sentient planet, home of the Green Lantern Corps. Or who knows, maybe Rogal Zar lied about his misdeeds, because, bad guys do lie, just to distract me on the battlefield. Definitely a bad guy tactic. Either way, something is not right here. And I've got a bad feeling about this. And there's like a little like note here, asterisk to be like, if you want to refer to the issue where he lied to her, potentially lied to her, because this is where she's thinking that there's more to Krypton being gone than what the official story is. And so Krypto is finally waking up in the back seat. Oh, good morning, sunshine. The holophiles say Mogo has an indigenous grass-like dog nip that is perfect for super dogs to roll in. How many super dogs do they get on Mogo? You excited? And then his hackles are up. What is it, boy? Ruff, 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 ruff. Something's got his hackles up. Well, I'm almost jealous I don't have super dog senses. Except for smell. I don't need that one 8 times sharper. Me either. Oh, you go to some places in the world, it's just like, or the gym, right? Where like people with no deodorant end up just being next to you on the treadmill. You're like, listen, come on. Okay. So he's starting to get his hackles up. He's like, oh, something's wrong. And Supergirl's like, okay, what do you see, bud? And then the ship in space all of a sudden gets turbulence. Ship, what is going on? Report. And it's so funny. It was going from being like, oh, we should arrive at Mogo in 15 minutes. And now all of a sudden, like, Krypto starts to, like, growl. And then the ship's starting to shake. And Supergirl's like, what the heck is going on? And the ship says, 100% failure of internal gravity systems. 100% failure of directional control. Ship, drop accelerators to 0% and scan for cause of malfunction. Troubleshooting for cause. Scanning. And she smacks into like the wall of the spaceship. Oh my gosh, scan faster. Ugh. Override the central engine core and access the backup thrusters. Alien power source causing full system failure. Searching for solutions. Searching. Alien power source? And she's like, do you mean me? I built this ship. Hey, Philadelphia Catwoman. Hey, girl. How's it going? I'm out in space right now, so I hope that you're doing your thing in Gotham all right. I gotta visit Batgirl soon. I've been out trying to figure out who killed Krypton, Hey, Dandy Money Man. Thanks for the heart me. Okay, so alien power source. Oh my god. The axe. Because remember, she brought the axe with her to Mogo so that she could like scan it there in person and hopefully find, answers. The answers that she needs in person, right? Oh my god, the axe. But that's impossible. It's deactivated. I think. And my Wolfie has definitely done this face before. You know that face? The whole like, like, Oh, love you too, babes. Welcome to the live. This doesn't have a cover anymore because of that. It's Killers of Krypton, the follow-up to this. And I do need to find the follow-up to this one. So maybe if you guys can help me do that after we finish this read, that would be awesome. And then we can actually continue it. Oh, yeah. Ruh-roh. Exactly, Zonox. Zip, pop. Gotta get that thing out of here before... And there's this big crackle. So that axe, that's, it has almost like probably something in it, right? Some sort of energy thing that's triggering the security features and all the tech that's around them. And then, of course, there's a big boom. Leaving, the ship completely just explodes, leaving Krypto and Supergirl out in the middle of space. And Supergirl's like, OMG, damn it. There's no sound in the airless void. It's like when I play Halo and you go to those certain levels where like you're in space, you're like shooting the gun and it just sounds like nothing kind of thing. So I guess that boom would kind of sound like a boom. I hear it. Damn it, no sound in the airless void. Krypto looks terrified, and he's not going to last long out here without oxygen. Actually, neither of us will. And Mogo's too far away to go before we run out of air. Come on, Kara. Think. And hurry. Hang on, buddy. I'll get us back on land. So it's like, it's interesting, right? Like the commonalities between like space and the sea and being, lost at sea, lost in space, out near Mogo, I'm going to run out of air. What are we going to do? And then, but first, another thing has also survived this big explosion, and that is the axe that I guess caused it in the first place. But first, Rogal Zar's axe. It's the only clue I have to find the truth. I can't lose it. Oh, of course, Catwoman. I wish I could have stayed a little longer. I'm trying to get my schedule a little bit better for things like battles and stuff. So maybe we can have a little friendly battle between us two one time. And I hope you have a beautiful night. Keep doing your thing, girl. Yeah, but first, Rogal Zar's axe. It's the only clue I have to find the truth. I can't lose it. But what if it goes off again? So she flies up to the axe to investigate. She touches it. Ow. I've definitely done this with like her face. And then touches it again. And then all of a sudden, this green light surrounds her. And look what we see. The Green Lantern Corps, the cavalry has arrived, right? Okay, so she sees the light none too soon. The cavalry has arrived. Oh my gosh. I said that. I did read this before, but I didn't know that was exactly going to be the line, but there it is. The cavalry has arrived, and not a moment too soon. John, Kyle, Bedig. I don't know how you say that. It's B with an apostrophe, DG, no vowels. Bedig, so glad to see you guys. Krypto and I were on our last gasp out there. And John Stewart with his ring. Yes. So it's John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, and our little... he's not a squirrel. He's an alien being who looks like a squirrel named Bedig. But we'll see. So John Stewart is the one who's the source of that light, at least. Kara? Oh, when Mogo sent us out to investigate an approaching aggressor, unknown level 5 power source, you weren't what we were expecting to find. So yeah, level 5 power source here, baby. And yeah, Kyle, you got it. Kyle Rayner, that is, and he's there too. He's also like a comic book illustrator in his like alter ego, right? So it's kind of cool. Yeah, Supergirl, if you wanted to get our attention, all you had to do was call. Instead of like, blowing up your own ship. You think this was intentional, Kyle? I'm going to risk Krypto's and my life to call out the green welcome wagon. So her temper's flaring. Yeah, we're just like, listen, why would I blow up my own ship? Well, I guess Kyle's making a joke, right? Kind of thing. Temper, Kara. They don't know what you know and how important this mission is for you. And Kyle says, oh, no, of course not. It was a joke. Well, an attempt at one anyway. To help lighten the mood? Shut the hell up, Kyle. This isn't helping, says John Stewart to him under his breath. What say we continue this chat down where there's an actual atmosphere? We will do a Q&A soon. I've done this read before, so Zonax, you actually came on the live before I did the intro, which is that this read, this particular issue, which has no cover on it anymore, is the very, very, very first comic book read I ever read in cosplay, like on video. I did it as a recording as opposed to doing live, and it's the very first cosplaying comic books video I ever posted on my YouTube. So I'm going back to it because every time you read a story, you are not the same person, right? So, but if you do have any questions about this, please do. Like, I fell in love with the Green Lanterns and Hal through this read, and then I went searching down Green Lantern rabbit holes and that whole lore, because you know I do Jessica Cruz as well, right? So is really fun as well. I had a lot of questions for Jessica. Oh, Jessica will return very soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but definitely by this weekend. Yeah. Okay, let's go, guys. So Jon Stewart's hushing Kyle from being like, okay, like Kyle's trying to explain himself, being like, I was just trying to make a joke, trying to lighten the mood, you know, and Supergirl's like, not in the mood, right? And Jon continues, what say we continue this chat down where there's an actual atmosphere? Oh, that's an excellent idea. Nice axe, Kara. It was, genocidal madman's weapon, she says in her head. It was a gift. Krypto, stop bothering the squirrel. I am not a squirrel, and Wolfie would definitely be bothering him too. All right, onward, guys. So they're flying towards Mogo, right? We had no idea you were coming here, Kara. Is this visit personal or is it professional? Personal. What does that mean? I'm just coming to pay a personal visit to the Green Lantern Corps, you know. Both-ish. Vague party of one, your table is ready, says Kyle. Showing up unannounced with a huge alien axe. Well, I'd be suspicious of me too. So you can see up there, they're all flying towards Mogo. See Krypto on the end there, like really, really curious about the squirrel. Not a squirrel, right? Member of the Green Lantern Corps. I'd be suspicious of me too. I'm doing some research on the creature who murdered Krypton. And Jon says, would you care to elaborate? Not really, Kara says in her head. But what she says out loud is, just some Kryptonian stuff. Very ancient. Lots of boring files. I need to know, in her head, if it was an inside job. Some details about seismic activity. Well, anything you need here, it's yours, Kara, says Jon. If it's not in the archive, it likely didn't happen. Oh, Jon, you're so trusting of the institution, right? Well, that's what I'm hoping. Here we are. Oh, Lantern Stewart. So I guess this little guy here is like, he's kind of like a librarian. Mogo's little like librarian archive keeper guy. I'm not sure how recent this storyline, it's not that recent, but this is the one that started it all for me with cosplay and comic books. And I received a lot of these comic books as gifts when I was a project manager here at the hospital in Toronto. And that was almost 10 years ago now. And I don't know if I think it was maybe recent when that was, so kind of recent, but not that old. So, And Bombi, have a great night. Have a great night. And I hope you join us next time too. I love doing these late night reads because it's like brings me back to, story time back when I was going to school in the 90s, teacher would come in and like have a book and like read out loud, or we'd all read out loud to each other because there is something about, your throat chakra and like your vocal cords bringing things to life. Oh, thank you. I love Jessica. And I would have never found out about Jessica Cruz had it not been for this crossover story between Supergirl and the Lanterns, right? Because the Lanterns are quite important in the overall, I guess, world building of the DC universe, if you think about it. So, Superman and Dr. Manhattan also think so. Okay, let's go. We got our little alien librarian guy saying, always a pleasure to see. Oh my, you're... And of course, like, Kara's holding this really, like, intimidating alien axe thing. And so she's kind of like, oh, yes. Hello. And remember, Jon Stewart is the leader of the Green Lantern Corps. Hal Jordan is for a time, but he's kind of like more of like a renegade out in space doing his thing. Jon Stewart is more of like that leader in that perspective. So I find that with people who have their favorite Green Lanterns, it's usually like you have your own kind of personality type that probably resonates with that, right? Some bamboozling happening here. Okay, so please extend every courtesy to our guest, Zatal. So he's the librarian guy. And then Kara says, of course. Hey, John, I want to say sorry if I seem short. I guess I'm barely holding myself together. So this is her internal monologue, right? Bam in bamboozle, baby. So the fun thing about comic books too as well, reading stories in general, is that it gives you this interesting view into that character's head, right? So to Jon Stewart, Kara is not saying he didn't hear, oh, I'm barely holding it together, right? But that's something that we, as privy to Supergirl's thoughts, as the readers of this story, we get to know that, right? So in her head, she's saying that she's barely holding herself together. She's doing this because, her whole life was Krypton. Like, her and Kal-El, Kara and Kal-El are the only two Kryptonians left. And, crypto, right? So, hey, John, I want to say I'm sorry if I seem short. I guess I'm, and in her head, barely holding myself together, just catching my breath. Again, no worries. Zatal here can show you everything you want in the archives. Oh, thank you, Rag Guy. Yeah, it's like, that's the whole part of like book club though, because also please do bear in mind, this is my perspective on it. Like when I read stories, like everyone, like it's your consciousness, right? So like the things you're going to pick out, how you envision their voices sounding, all that stuff is like your own perspective, right? And it's probably going to be fed by things like what's been done live action, maybe people in your life who remind you of certain characters. Like I have many people who remind me of characters, and so like their voices, like all that kind of stuff is like how I can kind of craft what it ends up being, right? So okay, so Jon Stewart's like, okay, I trust you, Kara. You're not here looking for redacted stuff. I'm gonna go do my meeting. You go in the library, right? So he's like, you can just look in the archives. And he says, I have a meeting right now, but if you need me, you know that I'm always here for you. Wow, thanks, Jon Stewart. That's really nice. Our collection houses over 5 quadrillion unique pieces. Can you imagine trying to organize all of that stuff in that library? Nugget of insight. What happened to that prison that Krypton used? Is that still a thing that holds Kryptonians? Great question. I think you're talking about the Phantom Zone. I did actually bring that up earlier in this talk because of my own, I guess, nostalgic weight to this story. But the Phantom Zone, I don't know if it was Jor-El or Zor-El who had anything to do with finding it, but they used it as like a prison for, it's like a timeless space that you could like put someone in for like an infinite amount of time and like a void. Yeah. However, it's a way, I feel like in time travel and like dimension jumping, it's almost like a weird kind of way you can kind of jump dimensions or timelines as well. But it is still a thing. In some cases, it's how you explain how crypto appears in terms of like timeline wise. If like, how did crypto appear if Superman's the only sole survivor of Krypton, right? Many explanations. Okay, so Supergirl wants to know who really killed Krypton. She's now on Mogo. She already asked Hal for help. Hal has scanned the axe she has, only got back redacted files, so she's there now in person to see if she can find the answers that she needs. So she asks our little alien librarian friend, is everything in here? And he asks her back, everything? And she's like, well, like, I don't know, valuable documents, redacted files, stuff like that. And Kara's like, oh my gosh, smooth, Kara, smooth. All sensitive items are across the corridors in Tower 2. But one would need clearances. Of course, like, you have like the library and then you have like the restricted section. Or like in the video place, like behind the beaded curtain. You can't go back there without, clearances, which means protocol and permission slips from 2 of the Guardians and lanterns and Ganthet. So that's like you can see he's going off about all the things you would need to enter the restricted access room. And Kara's like, well, clearly we're going to break in, right? So she's just like, her face as he's going off. And she's just looking down the hall. Be cool to kind of see Mogo, right? Like that being styled. I'd like to see that illustrated more. So Kara here is just like, well then. Ancient Zishpani. Very clever. Oh, so she's using her X-ray vision to look across the redacted place to see how you would actually get in. So she's like, aha. And look at how cool that looks like. What do they call that language? Ancient. So that's the code to get into the redacted files. And while she's doing her like X-ray vision to do this, the librarian alien guy is like, your walking stick. Is that what I think it? And so he like touches the axe, and at the same time, Supergirl's like, hey, don't touch the axe. And so as he touches it, it goes from being this huge thing to being like little and pocket sized. And he's like, did you know it did that? And Kara holds it close to herself. She's like, yeah, of course I did. And she's like, not. I'm feeling a bit piqued. Can we do all the paperwork for all that tomorrow? And he's like, oh, yes. Most assuredly. So she flies off with now her pocket-sized axe. Now that the axe has gone all travel size, I can carry it under my cape. Okay, that's cool. Now, if only I knew how this actually worked. I'd kill for the owner's manual for this thing. Not that I ever read owner's manuals, And so, late at night, we're going to do a heist, you guys. We're on Mogo. So she grabs the axe. She's in like full incognito gear to like sneak into Tower 2. Beep, 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 beep. Yes. Thank you, eidetic memory. That girl also has eidetic memory. I guess, which they call like photographic memory. It's a bit more nuanced than that. Gotta make this quick. Get in and, oh, wow. And look at all the files she has to go through. Where do I even begin? Uh-oh. And the axe, which she has under her cape, just starts to react, making like weird vibrations. Now what is this thing gonna do? And I guess you would have security features in this place after. And you have this little, I don't know, it looks kind of like a Pokemon. A Green Lantern Pokemon showing up being like, who are you? And how did you get in here? Just hold that thought. What is that device doing? Is that a weapon? There are no weapons to be allowed in. Whoa. Oh, thanks, Richie. Thank you. Wait a minute. It feels like the axe is, trying to protect me. Initiating defensive. No, get out of the way. And it gets close. Gulp. And it must think that I'm in danger. So the axe is basically reacting. I feel like it's almost like it could tell that Supergirl was starting to panic. So it was trying to protect her. So that's why it was like now starting to attack that little like Pokemon creature that was like, what the heck? You're not supposed to be here. And it must think I'm in danger to be reacting in this way. But it's what is dangerous. It's the axe that's dangerous. I really need the owner's manual for this thing. I have to get it out of here before someone gets hurt. Kara Zor-El, you are trespassing in a restricted location. Desist aggressions and explain yourself. And drop the weapon. So the whole Green Lantern Corps in Mogo, they're like, okay, what the heck, Kara? What are you doing? I don't think you want me to do that. And so she thinks, oh man, I need some backup. Crypto! So she yells. And Crypto's like sleeping back there, right? And he's like, zzz, but he hears her and he's out. Well, what better than doggy, super dog backup, right? Cease this foolishness and disarm your weapon. I'm trying. Listen, I'm on your side. You're breaking and entering with a weapon unknown to Lantern databases that is buzzing at a highly explosive rate. That seems to suggest otherwise. Hey, Tech Shop, thank you for the heart me. Fellow Lanterns, focus. Neutralize the weapon first, then the transgressor. Who are you calling a transgressor? Me? You don't understand. I'm not a trans. She's like basically like just protesting being a transgressor, right? Being like, I didn't mean to do this. I'm just wanted here for I wanted to get some files. She's like, I'm not, and that'll never work. It worked. Oh no. And then Crypto has now arrived with backup, right? You rang, Kara. Whoosh. Oh, now what? Everyone, stay back. I don't know what weird energy this axe is pulling in. And then one of the lanterns down here says, you cannot escape. Backup is already on the way. Surrender now, and no one gets hurt. Let go of the axe. Well, it's not exactly letting me. Kind of tough. And then Crypto's like, I don't know what's going on here right now. You called me for help, and now it seems like you're the one who's being the problem. And so the axe seems to be like sucking her in. And you can see her saying, Crypto, be a good boy, as she's being sucked into the portal. And Crypto, very, very concerned, tries to come after her while one of the lanterns is like, Canine, wait. And she disappears. Bloop, like with a big pop. And the lantern says, okay, well, that was unusual. Where did she go? And you can see Crypto is being like, where did you go? And so our final panel, my friends. Welcome, Kryptonian traveler. If you are seeing this, I am no more. But my complicity in my terrible crimes live on. My name is Appa Ali Apsa, and this is my last testament. He kind of looks like the Guardians, and the Guardians are like the bosses of the Lantern Corps, just so you guys know. I'm not dead, says Supergirl inside her head. I think. But that raises the question, where the heck am I? And so I guess this hologram, or wherever he is, like this final message continues. The awful truth that has festered in the shadows for far too long, and my immense shame, must be brought into the light. There was a cabal, of which I was a member, that unleashed Rogal Zar, the cabal whose hands are soaked with the blood, or in the blood of billions, the group known as the Circle, and with you, their day of reckoning is at hand. And that is where it ends. So that is the Killers of Krypton. I don't actually have the comic that follows that story, right? So I need to find it. I do have a quick spoiler of what actually happens. Supergirl does make it off Mogo, and mainly because Mogo, being a sentient planet, has a lot of empathy for Supergirl, because her mission is really to find out who killed Krypton. And Krypton, of course, is another planet, right? So that idea of, planets being sentient and us being part of those planets as this idea of like consciousness, that there's some stuff there that we could look at. But let me see here. Reading DCK, I just read issues here. Cool, Jesse. Very cool. How familiar with the Kryptonian Green Lantern lore? I am pretty familiar now. We could probably do a pretty deep dive on... I have a theory, actually, about the connection between Krypton and Earth, and why Kryptonians only seem to have powers with yellow suns and not on their own sun. And I mean, like, you explain it scientifically, like gravity and a bunch of other stuff too, but I have a more, like, I would call it like an esoteric reason behind it. An event is over now. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to drop off right now. Tomorrow, it's Wednesday. We're class Wednesday. So I'm hopefully going to have some stuff regarding, like, fitness, health, all that kind of stuff, because there is a connection there, right, to, how we speak to our bodies, right? I have a saying, like, your body hears everything that your mind says. So our inner dialogue, all the stuff that doesn't get said, it all gets internalized in your body, right? It goes somewhere. And so there is something to be said about, working out, fitness, stretching, in building an avatar, building a being that can hold an energy signature like Supergirl or Batman or the Flash or whoever you find resonance with. Because I believe that we are living in a very exciting time right now where what will seem like magic and like, you know, miracles, what seems like, oh, how is that possible? We're going to start seeing it being embodied. How that's going to look, I don't know. But we can look to stories of fantasy, imagination, and strength, honor, power, all that good stuff for helping us guide our consciousnesses, guide our way of talking with each other so we can bring in things like hope and inspiration and justice and like, you know, all like joy, all the good stuff, right? Because yes, it's going to be tough and challenging and all these kinds of things too whenever you're going through a turning of the ages or whenever you're doing something, you know, a mission, right? Like the crisis on Infinite Earths. But in that crisis, through that darkness, through all of that, that's where we get tested and you really prove your mettle, right? And you step up to that occasion and, you know, you find the others and we just start doing our thing. Okay, guys? So remember, my friends, it takes true courage for you to play as exactly you in this cosmic game of life. So be sure to play as exactly you. Because remember, the universe is counting on you. But not to worry, I have your back. Until next time, my friends, keep doing your superhero missions. Wait, what's my favorite cosplay? You know what? I will say my favorite is probably Supergirl. She is my go-to when it comes to being able to put on strength, right? Because that idea of just being able to go into it, like, you know, there is something really dangerous too about if you've lost everything, like you losing Krypton, losing all of that, but yet still finding the ability to have hope, to keep fighting, to have resilience. You know, everyone needs a little reminder. All right, guys. Oh, yes. And if you have any comic book recommendations, please do. And please do join the Cosmic Comic Book Club. You can do that on my Patreon through Golden Sugar. We're going to have some, let's say, members only live events, both online and in person, coming up, as well as some other goodies coming your way. So thank you guys for bringing your energy to this live, sharing these stories that I love, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye, my friends. Supergirl.